Hey, what's up everybody? Pokegemz here. Today we are going to be doing an awesome art project together. Guys, easy, simple, step by step for you guys to be able to follow along. But before we get started, guys, please make sure to smash that like button. Give me a subscribe. That way you guys won't miss out on any future videos. Guys, also do me one favor. Leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and I will personally get back to every one of your comments. Alright guys, let's get back to the video and let's do some art together. Hey guys, welcome. Alright, today we are drawing SpongeBob. Everybody loves SpongeBob. We're gonna have fun, guys. Here we go. Alright, as you know, SpongeBob is basically a sponge. So it's kind of like a square, a rectangle. Guys, as you see in the beginning, I use pencil. I love using pencil because it's so easy to erase. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out basically making a rectangle. Now I'm going to do it straight. Don't worry about the sponge features. We'll get to that. But basically you see it is a rectangle. And on the side kind of just gives it that 3D effect. Just so you can see SpongeBob's body a little bit on the side. Super easy, just like that. Alright guys, from there we're going to continue on. We're going to make SpongeBob's body. We're going to make his pants. So as you see, basically I just continue the lines down a little bit. As you see, I angled them on the left just a tiny bit, just to give it that angled effect, just to give it that really 3D pop. You're going to make a line across here, which is basically going to be SpongeBob's belt. And then at this point we need to figure out kind of where his arms go. As you see, they're just about halfway through the body. And then his hands, his arms are just skinny, basically skinny little sticks. That's how SpongeBob looks. And like I said, later we can correct this. Guys, the fingers are a little bit harder to make, so I start out basically just making a little ball. As you see, it's just a ball at the end, and then you will convert that to fingers later. Super, super easy. Do the same thing on the other side. Don't worry that you're going over the line, because most of this will be erased later. Make a second hand, just like so. Really easy, guys. And then same thing with the fingers. Just basically do a ball, and then we'll convert that to fingers later on. Alright, from there, like I said in the beginning, SpongeBob is a sponge, so you guys know kind of how curly, how wavy his body is. So at this point, basically go over your straight line with the curvy line. And like I said, don't worry that you've got a second line underneath there, because later, once we go over everything with marker, with a dark Sharpie marker, then when you're completely done, you can take an eraser, you can erase any pencil left over. Guys, this is the way that I've been drawing. This is the way that I've been doing it my entire life. I think it's the best way. Some people start with marker right away. I mean, the obvious negative about that is it's pretty much impossible to erase. Like, look at right here. I felt that that angle should be angled a little bit more just to give it that 3D effect. Boom, you angle it 1 second and it changes. Now, if I would have had that with marker, or if I would have did that with a Sharpie, obviously it'd be impossible for me to erase. Alright guys, this is the next part. We're going to do SpongeBob's legs. Alright, we're going to give him some cuffs, some pants. And again, he's got this skinny little legs coming down. Later we'll give it some detail when we color. We'll color the socks, we'll give it color. Same thing on the feet, guys. The feet, the shoes are basically similar. Just basically do an oval, a little bit of a potato shape, and then later we'll kind of convert that to more of a shoe look. Same thing on the other side. Here I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to make him look like he's running. So basically to give that running effect, you take one foot, it goes straight out, and then the other foot kind of bends upwards, you know, where at the knee, and then it gives it that running effect. So that's right there. Now take a look at your paper, and you're gonna find the middle. Sometimes what I do is I draw some little bit of a guidelines. Here it's okay. About 2/3 on the page, we're gonna draw his eyes. SpongeBob's eyes are basically round, and if you're drawing eyes, as you see, one of them kind of touches the other one. So they're not necessarily as going to be a space in between them, but they're kind of really, really close together. So that's SpongeBob's eyes. In the eyes, we'll give him a little bit of a second tiny little detail. And then he's got his eyelashes, basically 3 straight lines. And again, just really light. We'll go over this with marker later. After you're done with that, guys, we're going to start on his mouth and his nose. Now this is a little bit complicated sometimes. I've seen different ways to do this, but I like to start out with something like a nose. That way it gives me an idea. Okay, his nose is in the middle, and then I'll know the proportion of where the eyes are, where the mouth is. So this is the way I choose to do it. So I do his nose, and then on the side, I'll give him a little cheek right here. You know, little cheek dimples, which we'll color later. And then you've got your two proportional sides of the mouth, and then the mouth just continues on through. You see how easy that is? And then we're going to draw his entire mouth. Now, it goes pretty much all the way down. You know, SpongeBob's got his mouth always open. So his mouth goes all the way down just like that. Super, super easy, guys. Once you're done with the mouth, you know how SpongeBob, he's got his two teeth. So we'll give him two big buck teeth right in the middle there. And then the tongue is next. The tongue is pretty easy, guys. The way I usually draw tongues is think almost of a heart. You see how that almost looks like a heart? And then if you put that inside there, it makes it look like a tongue. So that gets pretty easy there. Next, you know SpongeBob's got a tie. So we're going to do his necktie right in the middle there. It's basically one triangle and then connected with a second triangle right there. So that makes it nice and easy there. All right, there is the second triangle. Really nice and easy. Then we're going to color that later. Then we'll give him some collars. You know, he's got a nice shirt on, so we've got both collars on both sides. And then a little bit of detail on the face. Guys, the next thing is the fingers. Like I said, start out in the beginning with a ball, and then basically you'll convert that to fingers. That way, if you start out with a ball, it gives you your basic idea of the shape. So it kind of gives you like a thumb, and then his fingers kind of bent inwards. Do the same thing on the other side. Then later, when you're all done, you can go through, you can look at it one more time and see if it needs a little bit more detail. But that gives you an idea of how to make fingers, basically. Super, super easy, guys. And like I said, once again, that's the best thing about using pencil. At any time you can erase, you can fix it before you go over it with your dark marker. Next thing we'll do, guys, is do these shoes. As you see what I do here, I didn't completely erase the outline of the shoe. I just erased a little bit just to give me an idea where the beginning and the end of the shoe will be. As you see, this is going to be the shoe right here. So super easy. We'll start out with a little heel and then give him his shoe and then kind of come back together. And then again, when we do the detail with the marker or with the colored pencil, we'll see that better. But that gives you an idea. Same thing on the other side. I didn't erase the whole thing. That way it just gives me an idea where it is. We'll start out with the heel. We'll make him a big SpongeBob shoe right there. And that's basically it. Yeah. And again, if you need to erase, change, go right ahead. This is just a light sketch. This is just an easy sketch before we go over it with marker. But that gives you a basic idea. Then inside his body, he's got those rectangles that are right there, basically even across. Doesn't matter, don't have to be exactly even, guys. In some ways, I know sometimes people use rulers for this, but in some ways, you know, the more unprecise it looks, the more natural. Like a sponge, it's got those little craters in there. Again, they don't need to be perfect, just kind of sporadically spread them throughout. Later we'll color them, and that gives you your basic SpongeBob shape. Basically, guys, when you're done with your SpongeBob shape, then I take my Sharpie marker. In this case, I use a fine point black Sharpie. You can use any other kind of marker. The reason why I like Sharpies is it is permanent. I mean, in this case, obviously this part is already permanent. I will not be able to erase this anymore. But the nice thing is that I can take a eraser and later go right over it and erase whatever pencil I don't need anymore. So that really makes Sharpies really nice. But like I said, you can use different types of markers, but Sharpies are my favorite to use. The other thing I use sometimes is the Papermate black marker. It's really nice too, but it isn't permanent, so sometimes it could smudge. And then in this case, as I look at the picture, basically the parts that I know are not changing, those are the parts that I will go over with the marker. And then as you see, guys, every time I'm doing this, every so often I kind of pull my pen away for a second and just double check that I'm coloring in the right parts. Guys, here I'm gonna choose what colors I use. This is kind of my favorite part here. I take colored pencils and I go through them and I look at a picture of SpongeBob, sometimes on the internet, sometimes on YouTube, and I kind of try to pick out my colors beforehand. The set of colored pencils I have is about 50 different colors, so I kind of go through and see which color is going to use the best, you know, what I'm going to use for the body, what I'm going to use for the eyes, and then I kind of put those off to the side and I know which colors I'll be using. Usually when I color with colored pencils, guys, the key is, in my case, the way I do it is I start out with the lightest ones. You can always go darker over it, but sometimes if you were to start with something dark, like for example, let's say I would start with a dark green, and then I'd say, oh, I wish this was a little bit lighter. Obviously impossible. So I start out with my lightest colors and then move darker. In this case, sometimes what happens too, if you've noticed here on the upper left hand corner, sometimes what the pencil does, it'll smudge a little bit, almost give it, you know, almost give it that effect as if it's smudged, give it those lines there. But you know what, honestly, personally, I always leave that. I always find that, especially on something like SpongeBob, which is basically a natural sponge, honestly, sometimes those little tiny mistakes just make it look more natural. So personally, I love that. I mean, I can go through and erase those little smudges, but in this case, I'm just gonna erase the regular pencil. And then I'll leave those little bit of smudges. And trust me, at the end, guys, you'll see that will make it look more natural. So here I'm just going through and I am erasing the parts that I know for sure I don't need. Guys, the other little art tip I'll give you right here is, if you noticed, I use a brush. It's basically a paintbrush that I've obviously never painted with, just a dry paintbrush that I use to take all the eraser clippings away. You can use your hand, but sometimes, like in this case, it was all Sharpie, so it really doesn't matter. But sometimes if you're using different types of markers and or you're using charcoal pencil, like you guys know I use a lot, if you use your hand, what'll happen is it'll smudge across the page. You don't want that. So that's why I'm telling you guys, a brush like that, just a paintbrush, the cheapest little paintbrush, works amazing just to get those filings away. It's just so much cleaner, especially when you're using white paper like this. So anyway, guys, just getting back to the drawing here. As you see, I'm doing my yellow. SpongeBob's body is all yellow. I basically use Crayola colored pencils. I try to keep my edges nice and sharp. And then I'll go through and color the whole body, and then we'll get to the other colors in a second, guys. So yeah, just enjoy my coloring. It's actually pretty satisfying how SpongeBob's body just kind of comes together with all that color. It looks beautiful. Alright, next when I'm done with the yellow, I'll go through with my red marker. Let's go ahead and throw SpongeBob, give him a little cheek. You know, he's a cheeky little fellow, so we'll give him a little bit of a cheek, some little dimples. I use that same red on the tie. SpongeBob's got a nice solid red tie. Black, this part, guys, I could have done with the marker, but I figured, you know what, if I'm coloring, I'm going to use colored pencils for the whole thing. So I use that black colored pencil for those outlines. I'm also going to use that for the shoes here. Now on the shoes, sometimes when you got something like a shoe that's shiny, if you notice, what I like to do is I like to color it, but I leave especially a couple little speckles of white left over. And the reason why I do that, guys, when it's done, if you have a little white speckle that you didn't color all the way through, especially on the tips and edges like I did here, what it does is it makes it really pop. It makes that black pop. It makes it look shiny, almost like a reflection. So that's especially why I didn't do that. Here we are, throwing SpongeBob some socks on. You guys know he's got his striped socks, red and blue stripes. So just a tiny little red and blue. I mean, look at that. It's just a tiny little bit of blue, but it gives it that really nice pop. And then the rest of his leg, is just finished up in yellow. So those little tiny details sometimes, guys, in your pictures will just add so much here. So we're pretty much done with that part. Next thing we're going to do here is we're going to grab the beige, some kind of beige or dark tan color, and we're going to finish up his pants, get the cuffs here, and then the main part of the pants is going to be done in that dark beige color. As you guys see, what I like to do with my colored pencils, I always feel this is super important, is keep them nice and sharp. If you keep them sharp, you get to that black edge. It just gives it a really, really nice, finished, sharp effect. Yeah, I just think that's so nice, you know, to have nice, sharp edges. It really makes your pictures look professional. All right, we're done there. Next thing we're gonna color is the inside of his mouth. Now, I didn't find an exact color that I was happy with, so I chose two different reds. One of them is kind of like a plum red, one of them more pink. And keep in mind, guys, especially with colored pencils, personally, I love doing this, is I love mixing colors. Sometimes I'll get a color, let's say I'm doing somebody's skin color, and it's a type of tone where I just don't have that color. Guys, you can take a really light skin tone, color it lightly, and then take a second one, go over it, and just, you know, work with those colors together. You can mix 2-3 pencils together to give it that color you need. Here's another perfect example. Guys, those parts on the SpongeBob, you know, the little circles that I'm coloring right here, I really wanted them almost like a greenish, brownish color, and I just could not find that color anywhere. So here's exactly what I was talking about. I started with kind of like a dark yellow, almost like a mustard color, and I'm going over it right here with the green, and see how it just highlights it? So it's got that mustard color, and then you highlight with green, and it just really makes that pop out. So I'm telling you guys, mix those colors of colored pencils. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, mixing those colors will give you that exact shade that you're looking for. Here's the blue. His eyes will really pop once we get that blue inside those eyeballs. Looks really, really nice together. The next thing I'm going to do, guys, is something that most people actually don't use, is a white colored pencil. Some people are like, wait, white? Why white? Doesn't show up. Trust me, guys, it will show up. So those parts that are white, you want it to pop really nice, use that white colored pencil. It gives it almost like a little bit of a shade, shadow effect, and then especially when you're taking pictures of it, it really pops out nice. So guys, we're basically almost done. The last thing I like to do sometimes is I take this pen. Now I know I'm not going to be smudging anymore, but this is really honestly one of my favorite markers. It's a Papermate fine black marker. I just love the way this comes up and actually goes right through that colored pencil. So basically what I'll do here is I'll just outline it one more time, just to give it a nice crisp look. I mean, it already looks pretty good, but telling you guys, if you outline everything, especially the parts that are black, outline them one more time with a fine marker, your artwork will truly stand out and pop really nicely. So almost done. Let's get done with this part, and we got a couple more little effects just to make this guy look absolutely perfect. Guys, while we're waiting for that, if you liked this artwork, check out my other art. It is the Angry Birds drawing. Now that one was actually pretty cool because not only is it a drawing of the Angry Bird, but I did something to it to really make it pop, give it that 3D effect. I'm going to teach you guys how to cut your paper, how to make a shadow using a charcoal pen or charcoal pencil to really make it look like it's popping off the page. So guys, check out that link that just appeared on top. I think you'll really enjoy it, and you'll really learn about a lot about shadowing and how to make shadows, how to make stuff pop off your page. Guys, we are literally almost done here. What I'm going to do at the end here, I'm going to take out all the pencils, all the materials I use so you guys can see them one more time. This is everything that I used for this project, guys. Do me a favor when you get a chance. Please give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you guys enjoyed this, give me some comments, guys. And also, don't forget, I do have a TikTok page. I post all of these on TikTok. Let's connect together. Please don't forget to subscribe on TikTok. Give me a follow, guys. Give me a thumbs up. Give me some constructive criticism. I would love to know what you guys want to see next. So hit that subscribe, hit that follow me button. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helped. And I will definitely see you guys on the next drawing. Thank you so much for watching.